Now, security and risk in the age of artificial intelligence is coming to mind, and with AI expanding the attack surface and new regulatory expectations emerging, and you both mentioned regulations already. How are you integrating AI specific security and governance into your broader cybersecurity strategy? Brad, let's go to you with that one.
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, something we've done, at least from a vendor perspective, is Veeam from a vendor perspective is a data protection vendor, and we've opened up kind of our data repositories uh, from an MCP protocol perspective, model context protocol perspective. So allowing end users to get the most value out of that data beyond just your typical backup data, right? Are my backups successful? Are my backups failing? Kind of basic reports of that nature. So really being able to take advantage of all the data in your organization, because at the end of the day, uh, these backups are almost a data lake for an organization. You're backing up all the data in your organization for the most part, whether that be databases, whether that be file shares, whether that be structured data, whatever it might be, cloud data. And to be able to access all of that as a single point of contact for different business owners within the organization to pull value out of that, for whatever it might be, is really powerful for a lot of end users. So at least from a vendor perspective, I can speak from that side of the house. But from implementing it from a people process side with Kris and Ashok being on the front lines, I'm sure it's a little bit different.
Great points. And it is going to be different whether you're on the vendor side of this equation or on the customer side and the type of industry that you're in. But Ashok, as a CISO, you got to have some thoughts on this, integrating, the security, AI specific security and governance into the broader cybersecurity strategy. How big of a deal is it?
Yeah, so primarily we do leverage some of the tools, primarily in this particular case, right? If any file gets created or some going into that, we have the mechanism to scan the files, right? So to identify whether those have PCI or PII data, that's where we leverage AI, right? In some of those things, so that, right, at least that will give you a mechanism to automatically classify the files. And then we have DLP controls in place so that we know if you see a file which has been tagged as PII, somebody cannot send this file as an attachment to anybody outside those approved domains, right? So that's where we leverage AI wherever possible and make sure that we have things in place. And then the second one is if we are no, if a business is trying to bring in a new AI platform, we also use no AI pen test platform to actually verify whether AI is doing the things what it's supposed to do and it's not hallucinating, and then it's not going to share more data than what they are supposed to, right? And if people are trying to leverage Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, etc., before they enable Copilot, what type of scanning or process we can put it in place that Copilot only have access to the data which it's supposed to, right? Because if HR have a SharePoint which has the salary information, we don't want the Copilot to know about it, right? So how do you put some preventive controls in place so that, right, the Copilot or the AI is only getting the data what is relevant and not exposing too much information to the to the public or wide audience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I saw we had some questions in the chat on that. Thank you to our panelists for answering those questions in real time. But that makes a lot of sense from a broader cybersecurity strategy and how to integrate these AI specific tools to make the job more effective. Kris, what are you seeing in academia?
Um, well, first of all, I'm really excited to hear, when I hear vendor partners that are like, oh, we're building MCP servers to give you access to our data. So that's really um, fascinating to see some of those that are coming forward.
Yeah, I saw you light up when
Yeah,
Brad
I
mentioned
had to
that.
write that
Yeah,
one down. I was like, I'm gonna go and research that one when I get done
taking
here.
notes. Yep.
Yeah. But there's we have some other things in academia that we have a lot of the same challenges that Ashok has been talking about, and we utilize some of those same AI tools, but there's some other things as well. So, I'll give this example. We are required by federal law to, if we want some of our federal funding, we have to filter the internet for students while they're here. Okay, so it's a necessary evil, but we put in filters, and we have to block kids away from inappropriate websites and things of violence and that kind of thing. Anyway, with that, those filters are starting to see more and more information about students on a daily basis. I was part of a project last year working with one of our vendor partners that they were taking and running analyzation based off of some of the things that, behaviors that students were embarking on as they were going onto the internet, and seeing if those um, could potentially warn us, early warning systems to potentially, for instance, violent behavior, or kids that might be struggling emotionally, or some of those things that we can, the power of AI being able to analyze so much of this data and seeing trends in it that historically we wouldn't see. Typically when you would look at this, for the last 10 years, a tool like that would have, it would just do keyword matching on, okay, maybe the kid is searching for guns and we should talk to them about their search for guns. Now you could see, a trend of over 2 weeks, maybe a student was searching about depression, and then they were searching about guns, and then they were searching about some other thing. Well, then we really need to have a bigger conversation, because we can start to put some of those analysis together and those trends that come together. And so you look at it kind of from a different lens then of, what is some of this data that we're collecting, and what can we discern from it to help um, take care of the kids that we're charged with, taking care of essentially for 13 years. So there's some really fascinating possibilities in academia with, that, and kind of an analysis of data, and on a different level of security than we've been previously talking about. So.
Yeah, I love that. That seems like a really, really good real world example that's got immediate value to us in analyzing lots of data very quickly. I mean, that's what LLMs are really good at, right? Like taking huge amounts of data, analyzing it quickly, getting precise in the summaries and things like that. And I could see that being very effective in the educational setting.
Mhm.
So thank you for working on that. That's cool. And hope if there's any other educational institutions out there listening that they're taking some notes, because I think that's really, really well worthwhile. Thanks, Kris.